Hey, running friends. Welcome to the Wrinkled Runner podcast. I'm Sherry, the Wrinkled Runner. I'm over 50 and I love to run wherever I go, but Buffalo, New York is my home. If you are looking to start to run or you're an older runner, this podcast is especially for you, so subscribe now. I love to help people get running and keep running. What is the purpose of a slow run? I've talked before about running workouts and how to do them, but what is the point of doing them? I'm going to be doing a series on different kinds of runs and what they are for. I'm someone who needs to know the why behind doing something, and not in the philosophical way like, what's your personal why for running? But, for example, why do I need to use warm water when breaking bread? Or why do I need to press my seams when I'm sewing a dress for my granddaughter? Why do I need to vary the paces of runs for different workouts? Once I find out why I should do something, what the benefit is, those things make so much more sense, and I want to follow through on doing them correctly. So if you've ever had a recovery run or cool down that you decided to run fast, hopefully by the end of this episode, you will see the benefit of running the slower runs slow. Examples of runs that should be slow are recovery runs, warm-ups and cool downs, and an easy run. Warm-ups and cool-downs are just that. You are either warming up the body, getting the muscles used to the movement of running, warming up your core, priming the pump, so to speak, so that when you go into your workout, you are fresh and have some of the kinks worked out. It should be obvious that running a warm-up all out before getting into the hard stuff isn't going to do you any good. And in the show notes, I'll link you to my episode on warming up and any other episodes from here, YouTube videos from my channel, or blog posts that would be relevant to what I'm talking about today. Cool downs are the opposite of warm-ups. You're coming off of a workout, long run or what have you, and you're bringing the body back to a less stressful state. You're cooling it down to a more normal temperature and allowing the blood to return to its normal rhythm and not compensating for trying to cool the core down. So yesterday I did a 9-mile run, and it was broken up into a mile warm-up, 6-mile race pace effort, and a 2-mile cool down. Believe me, I was very ready for those last 2 miles. They were actually a joy, and I felt like I could run forever because I slowed my pace to one that actually had me cooling down and recovering from the effort part of the run. And since I live in Buffalo, even the effort part of the run, I wasn't able to do all the way on pavement. So trying to keep up paces and things on snowy roads, it just wasn't possible. And I certainly do not advocate for trying to keep up paces when you're running in the winter. So it was hard in the times that I could keep the paces because I was on pavement. And it was also hard because it feels like running through sand for me when I'm running in snow. And I'm not one of these people that likes to run down the beach. I do not like it. So the run was hard. So that cool down felt really, really good. And I definitely went down to my cool down paces so that I didn't have to kill myself over these paces. This morning, I had a 4-mile recovery run. It was nice, easy, slow run that didn't feel hard or fatiguing. And it gets your blood moving for your legs to speed up the process of taking me to the next level. When you run harder runs, you're going to do damage to your muscles. And if you've, done weight training or have heard of weight training and what happens with that, and I think we all have, when you're building your muscles, you're kind of putting little tears in them and damaging them, and they build up with it in the healing process. So running muscles are no different, and you need to treat them the right way so that they do what you're spending all this time doing. If you're running your recovery runs correctly, you're not feeling like you can't move or that it's too hard, that you can't actually run them. If you're feeling this way, you're running too fast, so you need to slow it down. Don't run by pace in these recovery runs. Run by feel, unless you tend to push pace if you don't have any guidelines. Dave will run faster if I don't give him a pace to stick to. So know yourself when it comes to running and do whatever speaks to your personality to keep those recovery runs slow, whether it's running by feel like a 3 effort, or if you need to have those paces in front of you so that you don't run them too fast. You should feel good the next day, not like you can't move. A recovery is helping your body build you up so that you can do the hard stuff because you're adapting and you're gaining running fitness. So these runs that we're running slowly help that process. It makes that process happen. If you're running these runs too fast, you are standing in the way or running in the way of this process happening. And all of your running, all of the stuff that you're doing is going to be better for you and your future running and your body if you do these correctly. Now, an easy run is easy because it's easy. When you see an easy run planned, be happy about it. Don't push it. Run easy and just enjoy the scenery. There are plenty of hard runs that we do as runners, so embrace the slowness of an easy run. And most of the time when we run easy runs, it's something that we can be successful in. Sometimes our harder workouts, we don't hit the paces or we have to quit, we can only do 6 intervals instead of 8 or, whatever. But these easy runs are usually ones that we can be really successful in. And so allow yourself to feel that success. All the slow runs, including the long run, which I will cover by itself in a few weeks, are to build the body's endurance. We are spending time on our feet without totally tapping out. When we run our slow runs too fast, we are breaking down our bodies, not building them up, like I said before. The systems that work together when we run are being strengthened, and they're learning how to adapt to the more stressful runs, which in turn make us stronger when we let the damage we do heal. Our slow running helps that process. You are getting the body ready for harder work while also getting in more running. All our runs are building on each other. So last week's hill work has an impact on this week's long run. Last week's picking up the pace on a recovery run also has an impact on this week's easy run. So if you had a hard workout yesterday and during tomorrow's easy run, your legs feel like cement blocks and you're having trouble keeping up paces that were super easy a few weeks ago, the hard run or the hard workout may not be the culprit. Look to what you did last week or a week and a half ago and see if you were pushing the pace on what should have been slower runs. And this is where having some data that you can track or keeping a running journal comes in handy. So, okay, we're supposed to run our slow run slow, and we know that the purpose is to build endurance and help our running systems get us to the next level. But how are we supposed to know what constitutes slow? Pace calculators, which I've talked about a lot, are aplenty on the internet, and I will, of course, link to them again in the show notes today. But what if you don't race? Usually a pace calculator will use a recent race as a factor to figure out what paces your different workouts should be. There are a few ways to find out your slow and easy pace if you don't race. You can run your own 5K race and enter that info where asked on the pace calculator. You can run using feel by what's called RPE, or rate of perceived effort. So your slow runs should feel like a 3 on a scale of 1 to 10, and 1 would basically be walking. RPE can be hard if you aren't used to that, but I think everyone should run by feel once in a while to see what it's like. You should definitely be able to talk during a slow run. Now, if you run with a partner, having a conversation will keep you slow and keep you in check. If you don't, just pretend your earbuds are connected to a person instead of a playlist and just say a few sentences every few minutes and see if you're able to talk. You can also run by heart rate. Now, this method is easiest to figure out if you wear some kind of heart rate monitor, whether it's a running watch or chest strap. There's a hill test that Jack Daniels, the coach, not the whiskey, recommends to find your max heart rate. That is to run up a hill really hard, check your heart rate, go back down the hill, run back up the hill again, check your heart rate, and you're going to keep doing this until your heart rate drops. So your legs aren't going to be able to carry you up the hill at that fast pace every single time. So when your heart rate goes down, you're done with the test and you're going to take the previous run up the hill, which should be your highest heart rate. That is going to be your max heart rate. You can also if you're not around a hill or you really hate hill work or whatever, you can also keep track during really hard runs and just keep checking where your heart rate goes. It's going to start settling on a heart rate that you're going to be able to see throughout workouts, that it doesn't get any higher than that. And that's going to be a good approximation of your max heart rate. There are also formulas you can look at, but since each individual is different, I rely more on workout data than some of the formulas that are out there. Once you know your max heart rate, you can calculate what that should look like during slower runs. For a recovery run so that your heart rate doesn't go above a certain threshold. Now, there are various calculators that will tell you what your heart rate and zone should be based on your max heart rate, and different coaches use different percentages of max heart rate to find what yours should be at. Now, I like to say that a recovery run should be 65 to 70% of max. Easy runs should be 70 to 80% of max. There are some coaches who will set an athlete's training to paces that are the same for the recovery, easy, and long run. I don't run that way, and I don't have my clients run that way. I think variety is crucial to motivation, so my recovery runs for both myself and my clients are always a bit slower than my easy runs, and my long runs are always a bit slower than my easy runs, although sometimes in the long run I'll do race pace things and stuff like that. The differences are not major, but I think it keeps purpose in perspective when the paces are a little bit different. And all are still considered and to be done slowly. Hopefully, I've given you a little insight into why we run slower on some runs. If you would like me to go a little bit deeper into it, send me an email and I'd be glad to answer any questions that you may have. This week's running resource, oddly enough, is a heart rate calculator, so you can enter in your max and learn the different zones and where your particular heart rate should be when you do the slower runs. I'll also have a pace calculator in the show notes as well if you would rather run by pace. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you know another runner who could benefit from today's topic, go ahead and share it. Do you have any running questions? You can ask me. Email me at sherry@wrinkledrunner.com, and if I can't answer your question, I will do the research to find the answer and share it with you. The questions I get from listeners like you help me develop episodes, so please don't be shy. You can sign up for my once-a-month newsletter using the link provided so that you can have all the Wrinkled Runner resources from the past month all in one place. I also have opened up my virtual coaching in addition to coaching one-on-one with those in the Buffalo, New York area. So head to my coaching page on the Wrinkled Runner website, which I will, of course, link to, and check out how we may be able to work together. Until next Monday, thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the run.